Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 530 News on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Dennis Bragg.
And I'm Jill Valley. Fire officials report Libby has lost one of the few remaining timber industry companies in northwest Montana.
Libby Volunteer Fire Department reports SK finger joint burned to the ground on Sunday. Some 25 volunteer firefighters spent over 10 hours at the scene of the blaze, with some remaining on the plant site this morning. Libby Fire says even their retired members came out to help, along with Troy's Volunteer Fire Department, to stand by for any other emergency calls that might come in. One minor injury was reported battling the blaze. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office and the Libby Fire Marshal are still trying to determine what sparked this big fire. The mill was originally started by Champion International back in 1984. In 1993, Stimson Lumber Company purchased the mill, and they operated it until 2008, manufacturing finger-jointed long-length dimension and studs. In 2008, Stimson sold the mill to Lincoln County and ceased operations. In 2014, after extensive private investment and machinery upgrades, SK Finger Joint opened under the direction of Dan Neller, a former Stimson employee and millwright. Now, the mill has created a positive economic impact to what was once a thriving timber-based town.
Governor Steve Bullock says he will call a state special session and get lawmakers back to Helena next week because they have to talk about Montana's budget gap. Bullock made the announcement this afternoon after weeks of speculation. He said the first hearings will be next Monday, with the session officially starting on Tuesday. The state is facing a projected budget deficit of $227 million that comes from high firefighting costs and lower than expected tax revenues. Bullock was authorized to make up to 10% cuts in state agency funding to close the gap, but he said those cuts would have hurt people who rely on state services. So instead, he has proposed $76 million in cuts, with the remaining two-thirds paid for by legislative changes, including temporary tax increases on rental cars, hotels, and campgrounds.
No one believes there's a perfect solution, a solution that'll make everyone happy. But we agree on more than we disagree.
Bullock's announcement, though, immediately drew opposition from state Republican leaders. House Speaker Austin Knudsen issued a statement criticizing the expense of a special session and saying the governor was asking for tax increases before making an effort to reduce non-essential spending.
A special panel ranks a dozen more University of Montana programs at the bottom of a list for cuts, or what the Academic Programs and Administrative Services Prioritization Committee calls priority for a substantial modification.
Now, the group has been evaluating all 415 UM programs to hit the right balance between student and staff ratios, with slumping enrollment and less money. MTN's Kent Lutzen joins us now live from Missoula College with more on an important meeting coming up tonight on campus. Kent.
Jill, Dennis, I'm just about to head into tonight's meeting where they will continue to prioritize programs on the University of Montana campus. Now, the group still has 27 academic programs and 204 administrative programs to vote on before their deadline this Wednesday. This past Saturday, APASP ranked 57 academic programs in a roughly 3-hour meeting. 12 of those were placed in the bottom category. Those programs include certificate courses like computer support and cybersecurity, along with language, film, and health studies. Now, programs have not been cut yet, rather evaluated for future action. Programs voted into the bottom category could see discontinuation, consolidation, and disinvestment. Reporting live in Missoula, I'm Kent Lutzen, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Kent. The group will be meeting again on Tuesday and Wednesday to continue the prioritization of programs, and we'll have a full report on tonight's meeting tonight at 10 o'clock. Turning now to weather. Pretty cold out there, but not as much snow is forecasted for the week. Let's head over to Russ Thomas, who has our first forecast. Russ.
That's right, we get a little cold. In fact, we get a lot of cold tonight, but that snow to a certain extent does at least alleviate. However, with that in mind, take a look at this photo. Very nice wintry scene in early November. St. Joseph Medical Center iCam shot taken just a couple of hours ago. And again, look at that snow there. Boy, Flathead Valley, Mission Valley, northwest Montana really got hit with snow the last couple of days, much more so than Missoula and Bitterroot Valley. We'll look at our satellite and radar image. We're starting to see a few breaks in the clouds. We'll see decreasing clouds tonight, and by tomorrow morning, that's going to allow temperatures to drop well below anything we've seen so far this season, and I'll have more on that coming up.
In other news this evening, Corvallis school leaders say a proposed building reserve levy will help the district purchase a piece of property that's key to efficient operations and growth. Tuesday, voters are being asked to approve the 5-year package, allowing the district to purchase 21 acres from Ravalli Electric Cooperative, which is planning to move to a new headquarters location.
We're busting at the seams when it comes to enrollment right now, and we want to make sure that we can address some of the current issues with our school district and also in the future. So this is really, it's a big opportunity for this community to sound off as far as whether or not this is something they'd like to invest in.
The district has been leasing 5 acres from the co-op for some facilities for several years. Buying the full 21 acres not only keeps access to the leased land, but gives the district an option to use some of the REC buildings for operations and storage, and even specialized instructional space for the Corvallis Primary School, where climbing enrollment has space at a premium right now. And Johnson says keeping all the school facilities together is a smart move for the future.
Properties are adjoining, they're next to each other, and so our ability to share equipment when it comes to maintenance, just the location and transportation when it comes to students and staff being in one place, it makes it a lot easier for operation, makes it more efficient, more cost effective than having satellite campuses throughout the district.
Now, there's no bond issue in this proposal. The district would borrow the $1.7 million purchase price from the state, and then they pay back the loan over 5 years with revenue from the reserve levy. The levy would cost taxpayers just over $70,000 per $200,000 of assessed valuation. That's all being done with absentee votes, but there will be a polling place there in the high school from 7 until 8 p.m. tomorrow at Corvallis High School. In other news, community health centers serve everyone who comes through their door, and Missoula Partnership Health Center served over 15,000 people last year.
But healthcare funding cuts are making them concerned about the future and who they can serve then. MTN's Augusta McDonald joins us live in the studio with the story. Augusta.
Thanks, Jill. Dennis, on September 30th, federal funding for these health centers lapsed. A big part of why they can provide wide-ranging care to patients with and without the ability to pay is due to this federal money that communities apply for. This funding lapse is not just affecting Missoula's health center, but every single one in Montana and nationwide. That's 1,400 entities that provide care to a high rate of patients who are considered low income. But uncertain federal funding isn't the only threat to the service health centers provide.
Community Health Center Fund that wasn't reauthorized, National Health Service Corps, which helps us recruit and retain doctors and nurses and dentists to work in a rural underserved area, and then the Teaching Health Center Graduate Medical Education Program, the potential cut and loss of CHIP services to a bunch of kids in Montana.
Coming up tonight at 10, I go on special assignment to break down this battery of funding decisions that could threaten the expansion and even livelihood of community health centers. Back to you.
All right, Augusta, thank you. Montana's largest health insurance company has a new leader. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Montana has named Dr. Monica Berner its next president. She was previously the company's chief medical officer and medical director. Before that, she worked at the County Health Center at Fort Harrison. Berner is the first physician to serve as Blue Cross Blue Shield president. In a statement, she said she wants to build on the company's success and encourage innovation. Berner is replacing former President Mike Frank, who will continue to oversee health plans in Montana as vice president with Blue Cross and Blue Shield's parent company.
And topping national news tonight, authorities now say Sunday's shooting rampage at a small Texas church likely stemmed from a family argument. That
gunman killed 26 people and wounded 20 others. Meg Oliver reports from Sutherland Springs, Texas.
FBI agents used metal detectors to comb through the murder scene outside the First Baptist Church of Sutherland Springs, Texas. Authorities say 26-year-old Devin Kelly opened fire during services Sunday, killing more than 24 people.
There was a domestic situation going on within this family. The suspect's mother-in-law attended this church. We know that he had made threatening texts from him.
The victims range in age from 18 months to 77 years old. One of the victims was 14-year-old Annabelle Pomeroy, the daughter of the church's pastor, Frank Pomeroy. He and his wife were out of town when the massacre happened.
One thing that gives me a sliver of encouragement is the fact that Belle was surrounded yesterday by her church family that she loved fiercely.
Authorities say as Kelly left the church, a Good Samaritan who lives across the street exchanged gunfire, wounding Kelly before he drove off. The Good Samaritan then jumped in a truck driven by Johnny Langendorf, and they gave chase.
And said he just shot at the church and said we have to get him. I said let's go, and that's what we did.
Investigators say during the chase, Kelly called his father, saying he had been shot and didn't think he was going to make it. When police caught up with him, he was dead. Investigators believe from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Kelly served in the Air Force but was court-martialed in 2012 on charges he assaulted his wife and child. He received a bad conduct discharge. Investigators recovered 3 weapons, the assault rifle at the scene, and 2 handguns from the suspect's vehicle. Meg Oliver, CBS News, Sutherland Springs, Texas.
Kelly worked as a night security guard at a Texas vacation resort. Coming up after the break, as fears of a nuclear conflict with North Korea grow, there's one developer who's actually preparing for the end of the world.
And later, it may be over 2 weeks until Thanksgiving, but crews are already preparing for the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade. That and a lot more is still to come here on KPAX.